good evening, or good afternoon, depending on what side of the pond you're on, and welcome to an extra special edition of Across the Pitch. My name is Phil Kennedy, and I'm here with my co-host, Tony Robinson, where we welcome back our Accrington Stanley current player interview series. We're very excited today because we have a guy with us who started over 50 matches in goal for Accrington Stanley in the past 2 seasons. Recorded 16 clean sheets. It's just really having an excellent season so far this year. Welcome to the show, Toby Savin. Thank you for joining us today, Toby.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been long overdue, hasn't it? Because we obviously tried to organise it a while back, but couldn't get around to doing it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it and excited to hear from you guys.
Yeah, Toby, it's
really
Tony.
Excited.
Yeah, we're thrilled to have you on. As you said, we've been trying to sort of connect, and I wanted just to give a shout out to Luke Pearson for finally helping us out, and we getting it all sorted. And it's looking forward to spending a bit of time with you, Toby, and so that our listeners can get. They've seen you play for the last couple of seasons, and I would just like to get a bit of background on Toby the person.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's nice, isn't it, for the fans to, as well as seeing you playing on the pitch, but get to know a little bit about your life and the backstory. And I've obviously been a fan of football myself, so I understand it. And yeah, I guess it would be nice to sort of hear a backstory of how I got to where I am today.
I think, when I was a young lad watching, I used to go and watch Burnley when I was a kid, and I used to see those players for 90 minutes, and they were sort of like a star that you didn't think they were real people because you just saw them on the pitch playing, and you didn't know about the life behind the story behind the man. And I think that's what we're trying to do, and is to broaden the knowledge of the player to the fans, and so far we've been having some success, and this is another step in that direction. So over to you, Phil.
Yeah, now, Toby, I know that football has been a big part of your life from an early age. You were born in 2001, and I see that your youth career with Southport started in 2006. So you've been playing football since 5 years old, it looks like.
Yeah, I remember it like it was yesterday. My dad dragging me down to the local pitches, which was Southport Football Club at the time, when I was about 5 or 6, something like that, and asking the manager to join and going out and getting my first pair of boots, and yeah, it all started from there. So if it wasn't for my dad dragging me down and getting me into something I love doing, I wouldn't be where I am today. So yeah, it was all down to my dad, really.
Was goalkeeping always your position, or is that something that you came into later?
No, it's sort of an interesting story, this, actually. I obviously played for the local side, Southport, outfield. I always loved playing outfield. I think I played all sorts of positions, but my main position was a goal scorer, sort of attacking player, and if any attacking position I loved. And I went, and that took me up until about the age of 10, 11, and Wigan Athletic, when they were in the Premier League, they scouted me and asked me to come for a trial and outfield. And but I think at the time I played a few school matches in goal, and I was obviously stuck in goal with my brother shooting at me in the garden, and my dad knew I sort of had an ability in goal. So I think we had a word with him, asking if he can come on trial in goal instead. And I went on trial at Wigan, and I think I was 2 sessions, and he signed me. So the journey started from there.
And then after that, it looks like you went to Everton for a few years, correct?
Yeah. I the goalie coach at Wigan, Andy Fairman. I still see him like today because he has been a goalie coach through quite a few League One clubs, so I've obviously seen him a couple of times this season. He left that job, and I got released from Everton, and I got released from Wigan, sorry, and he brought me to Everton, and yeah, I was there for about 2 years or something like that. So yeah.
Well, that's excellent that you were able to establish a relationship with a coach at an early age. I imagine that was probably a big boost to your development to have some consistency with your training like that.
Yeah, definitely. He definitely changed and boosted my sort of goalkeeping ability, and I'm very grateful to Andy in my early years of my development, because yeah, he definitely was obviously a reason why, and obviously a reason why I'm the player I am today. So yeah, I'm very grateful for Andy.
Well, that's fantastic. After you left Everton, your last stop before coming to Stanley was with Crewe Alexandra. How did you get over to Crewe?
More sort of convenience, because my brother played for Chester, which is not far from Crewe, and obviously my dad was trekking miles and miles after when we were finished school, getting us to training, and we were even like staying in hotels and on Wednesday nights for Thursday training, and just and it was more of a convenience because Chester was close to Crewe, and we heard about the sort of the ability Crewe had to produce young players and the record they had, and yeah, that's really how it came about, just convenience.
Yeah, and I mean, Crewe's got, obviously, as you said, got an excellent reputation in their academy for developing players, and I mean, you've obviously there was a good move when the things ended at Crewe. Did Stanley approach you then at Crewe, or how did that develop? Your connection to Stanley then?
No. I remember it. I remember coming home from school and receiving a letter from Crewe. Me and my dad opened it, and it was that I wasn't getting a scholarship. And, you know, obviously, I was gutted and sort of panicking, because it was sort of the start of the next season where I thought I'd be out of time, and I thought, because I was obviously leaving school and the next stage would be a scholarship and not the academies, I thought, you know, my time was running out, and I was obviously panicking, but obviously coming through a few teams, and my dad speaking to people, and my dad contacted Accrington, and Billy Stewart was the goalkeeper coach at Accrington, who was also a goalkeeper coach at Everton. So it all sort of comes into play, doesn't it? It's not what you know is who you know, and that sort of followed me and my dad through life, and just different contacts, getting into different places. And yeah, my dad contacted them, and they asked us to come down. Came down, and that's how I went to Accrington.
And you signed your first contract in was it in 2017? Were you actually on a pro contract then in 17?
Yeah, well, it was apprenticeship, wasn't it? It was a 2-year scholarship when I was 16, 17, something like that, just when I left school. So it was a sort of apprenticeship.
And then, so you get the 2 years. So your contract, you signed a 3-year contract in September 18th, I believe, 1920. So that takes you obviously the last 2 years, and then you've got another year on the contract. And I think probably a lot of people would be interested in whether there's any talks of an extension yet, or is that just too early to go down that road?
Yeah, I've obviously still got another year, and it's still early doors, and there's obviously no rush to signing anything else. And if I got offered it, I'll be over the moon, And but yeah, but no, it's like it's still early doors, and I still got a bit on my contract, and yeah, it's still early doors really.
Yeah, and this leads to me into a question that we got from our other co-host Darren Woodhead, and it ties into playing with the benefits of playing. When I say a smaller club, like a club that's in League One, Accrington, of course, and as opposed to being in maybe a Premier League or big squad and being on the under-23s or going on loan. There's a benefits to doing what you're doing and taking that route, isn't there?
Yeah, if that was to happen and I was to go, if I was in a sort of a big club, 23s, I would definitely try and come out back on loan to have a League One or the Championship, depending what size of the club. I think that's what I'd sort of tell any young player, especially a goalkeeper, is any advice that I could give you is just get experience, especially to a 15, 16, 17-year-old. Just go out, play in the men's game and get experience, because there's no experience like game time. And I think it's more crucial for a goalkeeper. And so I'd definitely either come back out on loan if I did play for a bigger sort of a Premier League or a Championship club, or if not, I'm obviously stay doing what I'm doing now, because I'm loving every minute of it and playing games and yeah, I'm still playing at a high level at my age, so I'm really happy at the minute. Yeah,
I mean, you've obviously getting the experience you have been in playing at Stanley. There's obviously in the last transfer window there was national paper making mention that Spurs were interested, and I know there's a lot of things that come out and put pressure on players. Does things like that bother you, or do you put it aside, or does it make you more focused? Because I know every player wants to play at a higher level. So how do you deal with something like that when you hear it?
I think it's obviously nice for a player to have interest, and so, because you sort of know you're doing your job, you're playing well, and it does sort of spur you on to obviously keep doing. But at the end of the day, I just leave. That's what I've got an agent for, and I just leave all that side of the game to him to sort, and I get on with my own game, because I don't want to get distracted. I want to focus on the Saturday and make sure I am doing right to keep the interest coming in, because I'll only be doing that for the better of me, for the fans and for the team. So it all sort of ties together. But yeah, I sort of keep that to my agent, really.
Yeah, well, let him do the worrying. That's what they're paid for, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to just ask you a few questions here, regarding the actual on the pitch playing career type of stuff. So with Accrington Stanley, you made your debut was on September 12th of 2020. That was you were the opening day starter that day. That ended up being a win over Peterborough United, who coming in, they were one of those teams where the year before they had been a super high scoring team. So it was just it was a very big challenge for you, your very first time out, and you came out with a win. So just tell us a little bit about that first game, and what was it like to come away with a win with such a big challenge like that right away?
Yeah, it was I think it was one of the sort of best days of my career up to now, really. I don't remember being too nervous, because obviously there was no fans because of the COVID, and so I didn't really feel like I was making my debut. And it sort of felt like a friendly, really. But But yeah, I obviously there was a few butterflies, and I was just focusing on coming away with a win, and I'll be really happy. But obviously to come away with 2-0 win and a clean sheet on your debut, then it obviously doesn't get much better than that, especially for a goalkeeper, obviously.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. And you made 5 saves that day, so it wasn't like you were just standing around either. You had to put some work in. Now, one thing you did mention there was how early on you were playing, and with COVID there was no fans. How much of a difference does that make for you, having fans versus not having fans there? I'm sure it's got to be, just especially at home, a huge difference having that support there.
Yeah, definitely. I think I normally get more sort of butterflies and more nerves the less fans there are, because it's sort of like an adrenaline drug. It just, you could have no warm up at all, and then you just go out into the pitch with a big crowd, and you're instantly ready for the game, and you're instantly in the zone, and you're loose, and yeah, it just gets you up for it. And especially when you come out and all the crowd cheer, there's obviously no feeling like it. And to not have it last year on my debut season, going to the likes of Sunderland and Portsmouth and Ipswich's stadium, and to not have the fans there, it was sort of hard as well, because I knew I wasn't getting the full experience of my debut season, but I knew I had a long season ahead, and I knew it would come, and I think it just makes this season even better. Now I'm even more experienced, and I can enjoy it more because I'm more sort of at home with playing, and I can take in the fans more. So yeah, it's definitely been good for me.
Yeah, I mean that for sure. And you mentioned in there some of the big places that you get to go to, like Sunderland and Sheffield and places like that, where you just get to play in front of those huge crowds, and that's an experience in itself. And looking over your stats, as well as you played last year, you really have taken things up to another level this year. A couple things that I noticed is your save percentage. You've increased that to 67% compared to 63% last year. It was save percentage, 70% is, to me, that's like a magical number that goalkeepers are looking for, and you're right there knocking on the door, that 70%. And then your goals allowed, you've dropped those from 1.76 per 90 down to 1.29. So you're allowing half a goal less per game than last year. What do you attribute that success to?
I think it only obviously comes down to one thing, and it's experience. I obviously feel more settled in the game. I feel more at home and just relaxed, and obviously only comes down to the more game time you play, and the more you're used to the more you're used to with the pressures of the fans, and the pressure of the team counting on you, and I obviously can handle that a lot better. And things that were getting to me last year don't get to me this year, and obviously I don't really look at stats, to be honest with you. I'm sort of more old school and just try and keeping the ball out the net. I know the stats will be good if I'm doing my job properly, and yeah, and obviously the stats help when you do hear them, but I don't really take a lot of notice of the stats.
I was going to say, you love your stats, and like Toby says, is if you're doing well, the stats will be good. So, but stats are a big part of North American sports. I think this is sports lend it to that. So, but no, that's the good stuff. I mean, obviously, like you said, I thought it was interesting, Phil, is what you said is is the increase in the better the stats, and what Toby's playing with more confidence, more experience lends to better stats. So that's great stuff.
Yeah, and I think that we're just going to keep seeing every year that your stats are going to just keep getting better as you continue to get more experience, like you said. And now we've spent the first half of the show here kind of really focusing on football and, your playing career. But like I promised at the beginning, Tony does have some fun questions that he's put together. And it started out as just kind of some North England versus South England stuff. And then Tony has now kind of personalized it. So let me just turn it over now to Tony Robinson for the now world famous rapid fire.
Thank you, Phil, for that wonderful introduction. Okay, just there's no wrong or right answers, Toby. Just like to get some sort of response from you on these questions. Do you prefer mushy or garden peas?
Garden, I think.
Do you have red or brown sauce on your bacon sandwich?
Red for me.
Would you eat black pudding with a full English?
Yeah, of course I would, yeah.
Oh, see, that's the right answer, Phil. I said there's no wrong or right answer.
That's the only one you make points on, right?
Yeah. Do you have a favorite band or musician? What do you like to listen to?
Oh, that's an hard one. I could listen to any genre of music, but if I had to listen to one, it would probably be someone like Chris Brown or something like that.
Oh, okay. So like R&B.
Yeah.
I'm more of the classic rock. Well, I guess that comes from my age. Anyway, do you have any interest or hobby outside of football?
I like golf in the summer, but not through the winter. And just if it was winter, it would probably just going on a walk with a dog. Sort of easy.
What kind of dog do you have?
I have a Cocker Spaniel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love dogs.
Yeah. Good on it.
Well, they don't give you crap if you've had a bad day at the office. Oh, okay. Speaking of that, who has the best sense of humor on the team or in the coaching staff? Who's the one that who's the funniest?
There is a lot of characters really in the team, but if I had to choose one, it would be sort of the loudest and the funniest. Probably be Harry Pell.
I'm not surprised with that one. Are you, Phil?
Yeah, I bet a few people have said that.
Yeah, we've heard that before.
Yeah. When you were growing up, did you have a favorite goalkeeper that you sort of looked up to and was your hero?
Not really, because I grew up being an outfielder, didn't I? So my hero would have been sort of someone like Steven Gerrard or someone like that. But if I had to choose a goalkeeper who I would sort of aspire to be and like grow up to be, it'd probably be Edison.
Well, didn't he start out his career as an outfielder too?
Yeah, I do. I believe. I think sort of most top keepers who are good with their feet start out got outfield, don't they? So I think it just sets you up, especially in the modern game. It sets you up to have a good career, I believe.
Yeah. Is your boyhood team, is that Liverpool?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Okay, then that leads me into my next question, because I figured it was going to be one of the two questions and one or two teams that you might, being from Southport. John Henry, who owns Liverpool, he also owns a North American sports team. Do you know who that is?
No, I don't. You'll have to tell me on that one.
Okay, it's Boston Red Sox. He owns a baseball. I think he owned the baseball team before he owned Liverpool. Right, Phil?
Well, yeah, there's the Red Sox. It's actually a big group. It's called it's like Fenway. Fenway Park is where the Red Sox play, and I think it's like the Fenway group. And I know LeBron James is involved. They also own a NASCAR. They own a NASCAR team as well. They're involved with the Roush Fenway. Brad Keselowski, he just signed with them, so they've got a little bit of hand in everything. But yeah, they're I think it's called like the Fenway Sports Group. I did know about LeBron James as well. Since you're a Liverpool fan, this might be easier question to answer. Do you think Everton will get relegated this season? I mean, wishing or will it? Might be two different answers.
I don't wish now because I sort of still have a soft spot for Everton. Obviously, playing there, and I'm not a diehard Liverpudlian, so. Who obviously only want the worst for Everton. So I hope they don't because I do want to keep the Liverpool the Merseyside derby and I think to keep that would be good, but it's not looking good. That's all I can say. It's not looking good at the minute.
Well, I mean, to go back to the Red Sox, who we were just talking about, it's like the Yankees and the Red Sox. I don't think that either one of them would want the other team to get sent down to AAA because playing against each other is part of the fun of it.
Yeah, definitely. I do want to keep the derby. I think it's obviously one of the biggest derbies in the Premier League, so to see that go away would be a bit disappointing, actually.
As I said, as a boyhood supporter of Burnley, who were just below Everton, I mean, I'd rather see Everton stay up, but I certainly would prefer Burnley to stay up if it's possible. So,
Tony, I was gonna ask you on a side question. As a Burnley supporter, kind of in the same spirit of things, would you like to see Blackburn get up to the Premier League so you could have that derby with them?
No. No,
I know. Arsenal is my second team, and I wouldn't want to see the Spurs go down because I like having that derby every year.
You got to realize, Phil, that Burnley, anybody supports Burnley, don't want Rovers to get up into the same division. Doesn't matter if there's playing each other. The answer is a definite no. One last question I got for Toby is there any American sports that you like or have any interest in, or have seen any North American sports?
Yeah, I love all sports, and especially hand sports like American football, baseball, basketball, and I'm actually going over to New York in the summer. So with my girlfriend, so we're trying to sort of get to a game, like a basketball game or a baseball game, but we don't know which one yet. Just because I'd love to go to a game over there. The crowds love it down there, and obviously the Americans are big sports supporters, and yeah, I'd love to do that.
Well, I think in the summer, if you go in the summer, it's probably baseball might be your best bet because I think basketball will be off season. But I mean, you can go and see the Yankees or even the Mets. I think they're both. The Yankees got a bigger name, but there's nothing wrong with going to see the Mets. But I think that would be a thrill and hopefully something you can make you can come to pass. Anyway, no, thanks for
knock on wood that they get the labor dispute figured out and that we have baseball this year.
Well, there would be some baseball, Phil, but it's and I mean if he's coming over after football season, there should be something going on anyway. But
here's another bit that'll specifically interest you, Tony. The Fenway Sports Group. It is actually the proper name. I looked it up. They also own the Pittsburgh Penguins NHL team. Did you know that?
I don't think I did, Phil. I'm going to say if it was on the news, I missed that one. So,
I'm looking at the Red Sox, Liverpool, Pittsburgh Penguins, and then the 50% of the Roush Fenway NASCAR team. So all they really need is basketball and American football, and they'll have everything.
Well, that's it for me, Phil, on the rapid fire. So thanks for doing that, Toby. We, as I say, it was just for fun. So over to you, Phil.
Yeah, thank you, Tony, and thank you, Toby, for being a good sport with the rapid fire. Now, coming back to football, one of the things that we wanted to ask you about is, so each of the last two seasons, there's been a loanee that has come in. Last year it was Nathan Baxter from Chelsea. This year it was James Trafford from Man City. Just wanted to know, when you have that kind of competition, how big of a motivating factor is that for you to want to get out on the practice pitch and beat out that guy on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I definitely like it whenever the gaffer's brought in a goalkeeper from a big club, because it only pushes you on and makes you improve and to learn up each other and have that sort of healthy competition on the training pitch and the competition to get the number one spot. It can only do you good, and luckily it's been a healthy competition. I had a good relationships with Nathan and with James, so they are good lads, and so I'll pass across again, and I only wish them the best for the future and whatever sort of club they go to next. And yeah, it's just good to have them at the club to push you on.
You mentioned earlier, Toby, that there was you handle things differently this year than sort of last year. How is that just from getting more mature in the sport, or is it just a different mindset? How do you think you've adjusted?
Yeah, definitely. I can even see myself how much I've matured compared to last year. On and off the pitch. I sort of definitely feel, even though I'm still 20 years old, I sort of feel like a senior pro compared to some of the 20-year-olds in the team who I'm good friends with, and I think that's only obviously comes down to the sort of 60, 70 odd games I've played, and yeah, it's definitely matured me as a person and as a player.
It's when you mention that, because I think people sometimes forget that of your age, because you've basically you've played last season and this season, and really to the point this season where you put James Trafford on the bench and he had to really go over to Bolton to get more action. So I mean, I think people forget that you're only 20. Do you think getting an early start, like an early chance to start when 2 years ago, was that something that you think has helped your career as opposed to learning in an academy more? I'm just thinking it's you've been playing 2 years and yet it seems like you're still so young.
Yeah, definitely. I've always been a believer of, I think the best way to learn is by experience and not sort of on the training pitch by the book. And yeah, I think some of the lads, it's funny actually, because when some of the lads say how like, if they forget, they say, how old are you? And when I say 20, they're sort of shocked by my age, because they obviously think I'm a lot older, and I sort of play like an older player, and I think that's the best way. That's the best start to your career, getting chucked in at the deep end like I was, and just first game of the season, just starting. And there was definitely a lot of lows last year. Obviously, a lot of highs, but I definitely remember a lot of the lows more. But looking back, I wouldn't change them for anything, because it's obviously made me into the player it is today, and just pushed me on and thicken my skin, and yeah, it made me obviously not deal with a lot of the crap that I did last year. So yeah, well, I'm glad this happened.
We talked about confidence earlier on, and I think if any player on the pitch has to have confidence, it's the goalkeeper, because obviously the defenders, they look at you for guidance in some way. I mean, you're if you want a North American comparison, a quarterback back there, you're sort of directing traffic, taking control of the box. How did you find that was a little different when you had players experience like Nottingham and even Ross Sykes? They've been around. How do you feel when you're on the pitch, you're directing these people around? I guess they take it in good. They have no problem with that.
Yeah, I think it's just the job of a goalkeeper growing up, isn't it? You're taught to shout at your defenders from the ages of 7, 8, 9, coming through the academies to command your box. And for any young goalkeeper, if they're listening, if you speak to players, especially pros, they want you to shout at them. They want you to scream. They want you to boss them about, and having a bossy sort of commanding goalkeeper behind them definitely makes them feel more comfortable, much more relaxed, and so for any goalkeeper, listening, I think going up, if you are sort of training with the first team or training with older lads, then don't be scared to boss them about, and it's just the job of a goalkeeper.
Yeah, they don't want the librarian type of a keeper in the net that doesn't say anything. No, that's not going to work.
Yeah, definitely not. No.
Now, to kind of change directions a little bit, one thing we wanted to talk to you about is last week we had Dave Burgess on the show, and he was talking to us about the new facilities that have been opening up at the Wham Stadium now. A lot of that, of course, is focused on like the hospitality and fan areas, but a big thing that, of course, that's going to impact the players is the updated changing rooms, which I know has been something that's long overdue. So what we wanted to do was just kind of get your opinion on the new facilities and how is everything working out for you so far?
Yeah, you can definitely see, the money and the effort and the love that Andy Holt's putting into the club, and he definitely isn't, holding back, and it's brilliant really what he's doing and what he has done over these years with the lounge, the new stand that's gone up, and the new changing room that started to go up. So everyone should be sort of appreciative to Andy and the effort that he's putting into the club. It's fair play to him really. It's brilliant.
Yeah, they've come a long way, and like David said, the better the facilities do in the way of revenue, the better they can translate that to wages and players on the pitch. So,
on every show, we mention just how great Andy Holt is and how important everything he's doing is to the club. And you just can't say it enough. I mean, there's just not another owner out there that's putting this kind of investment into infrastructure and just making things so that they're going to be better long beyond the point that he owns the team for.
Yeah, definitely. I think because he's a sort of a local lad and obviously a big supporter of the club, and he brought them from non-league to where they are now. Everyone should be really grateful for what he's done, and credit to him, really, what he's done for the club. It's good.
Yeah, and no doubt about that, Toby. One I wanted to ask you too is about your own game. I mean, obviously, you are learning the craft and working on it. What do you consider would be the strongest part of your game, and what are areas would you think you need to sort of improve on?
I like to think my sort of how calm and composed I am is a strength. You know, on the ball, if it's on the ball at my feet, I think I've got good distribution. And I also think that aerial balls sort of crosses into the box and commanding my areas of strength, which I have. And if I had to pick something to improve, I think probably my consistency, really. I think because I'm obviously still young, I'm obviously going to make mistakes, and I'm obviously learning day by day, that obviously learning the hard way by mistakes. And I think the way to improve that is consistency, and I think that only comes with, you know, the more game time, the more experience, and yeah, so consistency, I think.
Yeah, and I think one thing I've noticed about your game, I think that really doesn't get mentioned enough, is your vision of the play in front of you when you take possession of the ball. And what springs to my mind is the distribution on that Sunderland match when you guys were down to 10 men, and you got the ball up, and it led to a Mitchell Clark goal. I mean, it's unfortunate hockey. You get two people can get an assist, and that one you really created the assist, but you don't get credit for it, because I guess that goes to you should get an assist to the assist.
Yeah, I was definitely claiming some sort of an assist after the game. It was it's definitely been a highlight of the season, that the Sunderland game. You know, going down to 10 men and getting something out of the game. It was class from the lads, really. I was half hoping Matt Butcher would a score, but he's obviously passed it to Mitch, and it was the right decision to pass. And yeah, I'm just happy we scored in the end.
When I'm trying to think back of all through the season and about, because you've made so many tremendous saves. I have 3 saves that I think that were really game savers. And is there a save? And I'm just wondering if it's one of the 3 or that I'm thinking of. What do you have a favorite save, or one that you think that was the best save I've done this season? Is there a top one that you have?
I think it's either the Sunderland where where it's been crossed in, he's headed into the floor, and I've tipped it around the post with my left hand in the top corner. It's either out of that or the Bolton one, which probably would be the Bolton one, where the double save, where I've saved it and it's sort of bounced in the 6-yard box to my right, and I've sort of come to the right angle and spread myself, and it's hit me square in the nose and gone out for a throw in. I think that would be
That's one I had in mind, and also the one, it was early in the match against Rotherham, which was from a corner, I believe, and the ball was headed like a striker headed down where he should be, and you sort of got down, and that to me was a tremendous save, and then the one that at the end of the Wickham match too, because I think Wickham thought they were, you got your hand on that. I don't know how you did that, but those are two that come to my mind.
Yeah, I forgot about the Wickham one, really. I think it's because I wasn't really happy with my overall performance in the game, but that's probably why I sort of forgot about it. And But yeah, I think to come away from the Wycombe game after not being happy with your performance with a positive and something to win us the game, it definitely made the day a lot better and made the 3 points more sort of worthwhile.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we only had a couple more questions here for you here, Toby. And one thing that we wanted to ask you here about was a difference in home versus away performance. Right now, Accrington Stanley is 9th in home form, but 21st in away form. We just wanted to know what you thought is the difference between home and away, and what's causing that split, do you think?
I think away, we obviously had a few losses away, which probably got into the players' heads and sort of got worse and worse. And then now every time we go away, it's sort of in your head that we're struggling at away. Maybe that's just built up mentally. I don't know. That's just a guess. Obviously, no one can put the finger on it because we put 100% into every game, home or away. But that's just my guess. But and I think why our home record is so good that I think it's because of the fans. You know, you hear of teams and you hear of players who play for our club now who used to play against Accrington, how they hate coming to the one. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard how it's like how supportive the fans are, how loud they are, and yeah, they might not be many in numbers compared to some like the likes of some of the teams in the league, but down to actual support and the passion, I think Aki fans are definitely up there, and that's probably one of the reasons why we've got one of the best records running at home. I think mainly down to the fans.
I think
really. Go ahead, Tony.
I was just going to say, I think Andy should make sure that he doesn't make the changing rooms for the away team all that more comfortable, because it is one of the one of the best changing room for away players. So we don't want to getting them too comfortable. Maybe they'll relax a bit more. But anyway, just for me, I'll turn it over to you in a minute. I just wanted to thank Toby for doing this. As I say, we finally got this together, and it's been a real treat for me, and a pleasure to have you on and listen to your stories and your career. And we wish you all the best for your future in the sport, and where it be Accrington or wherever. We wish you all the best, and just keep up the good work, and let's look for more clean sheets.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. I hear the sort of the good job you both are doing it across the pitch, from the plays and keeping the community together and the fan base, and yeah, I really appreciate your guys' support, and it goes a long way. So I'm really appreciative of it. Thank you.
Yeah. Cheers.
Well, thank you, Toby, and we really appreciate more than anything else just hearing that, like you said, that the players appreciate what we're doing, because that's what it's all about. Is just trying to spread the word of the team, not just in Accrington, but throughout the world. And Tony is in Canada, and I'm here in the U.S., and we also have people that are working with in Australia and places like Ghana, where we're just trying to spread the word of what we think is the best football team in the entire world. And like Tony said, we wish you continued success with your career. Of course, with Accrington for the rest of this season, and hopefully more seasons in the future. And then also wherever you go, we always like to continue. We will follow your career wherever you go. And once again, just thank you so much for taking the time with us today.
Yes, thank you.
No worries at all. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And we always like to finish up with an on Stanley on. So if everybody's ready on 3, 1, 2, 3, on Stanley on.
Cheers, Toby.
Cheers.